Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys our GBU Season 1 draft analysis. Yes, a new league on the channel. We're not just playing in BVR this time. We have a new league. This is run by my good buddy John Jr. Obo, and I help run it out as well. Probably the sickest logo in the draft league game, by the way, right now. But this is just going to be another Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi draft league. It is going to be a low-tier Tera league, so only, I think it's 12 points and below with some bans can Tera. So it should be a lot of fun. I think we drafted a really cool team this season, and I'm excited for you guys to see our season unfold. If you guys do enjoy today's draft analysis, are hyped for the upcoming season, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 3,000 subs, and if everybody who watches this today subs to the channel, we'll get there. So I'd really appreciate your support. And yeah, with that being said, we're just going to kind of go through these picks 1v1, kind of, talk about why I picked them, my thought process behind doing so, and things like that. So, pick 1, I believe, we were in the bottom half of the draft, right around the middle, or no, we're not right around the middle, we were 14 out of 16. We're not the best spot in the world. We do have kind of like a pseudo wheel. We're right next to Lars and Amel there at the bottom. But we definitely don't have the cream of the crop when picking. So my thought process going into this was grab the best one on the board and figure it out after. Pick 14 comes along, and really there's not much that I want to try at this point. But Pokemon that is there and that I need to try to see if he beats the fraud allegations is going to be Iron Bundle. This Iron Bundle cannot Tera. Now, if Iron Bundle can Tera, I think it is one of the best Pokemon in the format. However, this one can't, and he hasn't really beat the fraud allegations for me. The downsides to this thing is no reliable Water Stab, and it really misses out on that boost from, Tera Water, like the random Tera Electric that it would get with Tera, plus, the reliable Tera Blast Stab that it would get in that case. But regardless, this thing is still very fast. It's a Pokemon faster than random Chien-Paos and Darkrai's, which was allowed this season. So it's a very elite speed tier that's not met by much, and especially with the booster speed, we can outspeed really anything we want to. So that's obviously a really cool option. We can grab Momentum and Flip Turn and U-Turn. And then the combination of Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Freeze Dry really doesn't have any resistance in the game. It's perfect neutral coverage, across the board. So that aspect of Bundle is going to be very nice. I think it is going to be very reliant on other things getting chipped for it, so it can come in and clean games. Or it's going to be a nuisance for switches and get Flip Turns and U-Turns out into opposing team members to do some work there. So I'm not 100% sure on Bundle yet. We'll see how it goes, but it's definitely a Pokemon I'm excited to try. Next up, I ended up going with my Tera Captain in Okidogi. Now, this thing was only 12 points in this league. Now, I think it's around a 13 or 14 point mon personally, and especially should not be allowed to Tera even if it's at 12. I think it should be complex. This thing is going to be incredibly obnoxious. It's very bulky, very strong, has a decent speed stat, and can be very versatile. We could run Choice Scarf and Choice Band sets very easily. We can run Assault Vest sets very easily. We can run Bulk Up sets very easily. And the fact that, one, we're immune to Intimidate with Guard Dog, which is basically just Defiant, but only for Intim, I guess. Gives us a +1 attack, and we're immune to Intim. So that's obviously a really cool hidden ability, but really it's going to be Toxic Chain. The fact that I can, go into this Pokemon and knock off and then Toxic Poison you, and Drain Punch, and then Toxic Poison you, CC, Gunk Shot, all the elements, all that thing, and get a Toxic Poison 30% chance of the time is so incredibly obnoxious. That's not something that's stopped by a Covert Cloak either. That's our ability, so that procs separately. So it's really unguardable, and a lot of the Pokemon that are going to be immune to, poison, one is going to be Steel types, which we massacre. And the other is going to be opposing poison types, which we can always hit with a really strong high horsepower, or we can probably set up on most of them and start setting up bulk ups and things like that. So it's going to be really difficult for a lot of teams to switch into this thing and deal with it consistently. Even if you have a good switch in, you're not going to appreciate it. Right now, we are going to be a Dark and Fighting type Tera. We can only pick 2 typings. We went with Dark because it flips a lot of resistances, gives us Stab knockoff as well, and really helps us out in that regard. And then I went Fighting because I really didn't know what secondary typing to go. I didn't know if I wanted to boost my Fighting type moves or if I wanted more defensive typing. I will give you guys a spoiler. Right before recording this, I did change my Tera typing week 2 to be Dark and Fairy. Partly because when we played Keegan the other week, or probably the last video on the channel at this point, he brought Tera Fairy Oki, and I was like, damn, this thing is really good neutrally, defensively. So I ended up going Tera Fairy as our second type there. Kind of shouts to him for that one. But I'm really excited about this Pokemon, and I really love the passive damage it forces for things like Bundle to come in and sweep later. So really excited to use Okidogi here. Next up, The GOAT is back. Knockoff Crocodile had to be my third pick. This is an actual dark type, which I think is really clutch. This Pokemon pairs really well with Okidogi, pre-Tera, you know, forcing in, you know, opposing psychic types and things like that. Even, you know, opposing poison types if they want to, you know, go ahead and absorb the poison that way. We can deal with that in that regards. And then annoying, like, you know, grass types or, you know, bulky fairies and things like that. Okidogi's going to massacre for Crook, which is awesome. This gives us a Stealth Rocker. It gives a really solid speed tier in 92, so we kind of need to bridge the gap at around 100 and 110, but once we do so, our speed tiers are going to look phenomenal with 80, 92, and then, you know, 100-ish, 110-ish, and then elite speed in bundle. So I really like that. I love how versatile this Pokemon is with Intim and Moxie, and even random Anger Point shenanigans, which is always really, really cool. I'm definitely really excited to use Crocodile again. This is one of my favorite Draft League Pokemon of all time, but I was kind of iffy on it when it didn't have knockoff for the past, you know, year or so. But now that it has it back, I mean, this thing's just, it's such a reliable glue piece. I love me some Crocodile, man. So I'm really excited to use it this season. Next up, we got Thundy. Again, kind of patching those speed tiers a little bit. A bulky water destroyer, which is always a really, really nice aspect. And it's something that is going to serve as a great pivot on this team. It's also going to serve as great speed control, thunder waving things being a big nuisance. Thundy is a Pokemon I really do enjoy using. Again, I wish I could Tera it. I really want to try Tera Thundy, but unfortunately not in the rule set for this league. But regardless, it's always a good button. I love Prankster T-Wave in this generation. We can go with really cool nasty plot variants, really cool bulk up variants. I've really enjoyed using this thing in GBA when I've been helping Del prep throughout the season. So I wanted to give it a shot in Gen 9 myself. It's always just a very reliable Pokemon, and again, is going to grab great momentum, which I think is really, really cool, especially with something like Bundle that might force in, you know, like a bulky water or whatever it might be. No, Freeze Dry is always a thing, but, you know, there are some that it deals with. But regardless, Thundy's going to be very solid in that regard, getting free switches, and even U-turning and, you know, getting in Pokemon that Bundle wants to kill, like maybe an opposing Dragon or an opposing Ground. Once our Thundy comes in, U-turns, gets in Bundle, we're going to be in a good spot. Then I got Deity. I was looking at the board, there wasn't a lot of fairies. I didn't have a Flying Resist that wasn't Thundy at this point, which is always a nice thing to grab. And I didn't have many hazards. I only had Rock's Crook, which is a really reliable rocker, but it doesn't want to rock every week. And I didn't have Spikes. And I think those are really important things when you have Pokemon like our Iron Bundle, our Okidogi, and our Thundurus. Two of those, and Thundurus and Iron Bundle, are really going to appreciate the hazard pressure as they flip, turn in and out. And same thing with Okidogi, as it clicks buttons, those 2-hit KOs become, you know, potentially 1-hit KOs, or those 3-hit KOs become 2-hit KOs, or whatever it might be, because that Spike and that rocker up, especially if we can knock off tons of heavy-duty boots. We can poison things. That plus hazards is going to be incredible for something like Iron Bundle, and even our Thunders in the back. So I love Deity. I think it's very, very reliable. It gets its job done always. Really, really good mon. Always gets up a Spike, or always gets up Rock. So I valued that a lot here, and there wasn't a lot of fairies left, so I figured grabbing it early would be the move. Next up, we got Bronzong. If you look at my team right now, I'm pretty ground weak. Really, really ground weak, in fact. So I wanted to grab the Bronzong. Now, it is a Psychic type that is neutral to fighting, and my Fairy is the same. So right now, my fighting resists are a little bit flimsy in Okidogi, pre-Tera, and Thundurus, but that's something that we can always patch later down the line. This is another very reliable rocker. It's another ground immunity that's not Thundurus. It's an Edgequake resist, and I didn't really appreciate the combination of the moves. It's very bulky, very annoying, and again, a reliable rocker and a reliable Fairy resist as well, which I didn't have up to this point. My Poison was neutral to Fairy, and when I Tera, it's weak to Fairy. So I definitely wanted to grab a solid, bulky Steel type, and that's going to be Bronzong here. Not a very, like, you know, cool pick. It's just a Bronzong. He does what he does, and he does it well. Then I grab Vulk. Speaking of Fairy Resist, I think this thing is actually really good on this team. This is non-Tera Volcarona, but we got it in round 7, which is pretty cool. It fits an amazing speed tier for our team. So like I said, we go from Okidogi at 80, we go to Crocodile at 92, then we go to Volcarona at 100, Thundurus at 111, and Iron Bundle at 136. So our speed tiers look phenomenal. With our hazards and with the Pokemon we have up to this point, we really, really do beat down a lot of the checks and counters to something like a standard non-Tera Vulk. We have the Deity for opposing dragons. We have the Crocodile and the Okidogi for rock types. We have... what else really checks Vulk? Opposing waters, it's going to be Bundle and Thundurus. I'm really trying to think of what checks Vulk. Fire types, it's going to be Deity and Crocodile and Iron Bundle offensively. Like, we really do cover a lot of the things that Vulk doesn't like very well on this team. I think it functions as a great win con in a lot of matchups with this squad. And there's other things it can do. You can run Will-O-Wisp defensive Volcaronas. You can run U-turn variants. You can run Choice Specs Overheat. I've done that so many times because it's so unbelievably strong with that item. And again, grabbing those U-turns with this thing into something like an Iron Bundle can always be really, really advantageous. So I like the momentum aspect. I love this thing with hazards. It has two good abilities in both Swarm and Flame Body, which are both going to help it out in winning games or, you know, checking things defensively. So overall, just a really good Pokemon. Really happy with Vulk here. Then I grab Goodra. I know. I've been yelling about Goodra. I really have been. But I was using the Ball Hawk dock when I was building, right? And put my, when I was drafting, put all my picks in. And I was like, what am I really weak to right now? Because this team felt almost done. Like, I really love this top 7. But I was like, what common typings am I really weak to right now? And I looked, and it was actually water. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was going in, I was looking, I was like, yeah, I mean, Bundle has no Spadef. It's my only water resist right now. And then other than that, nothing takes on an offensive water. So Goodra gives me a really, really good water resist, which sounds really weird to say, but it's also just a great Spadef sponge in general, and we will be picking up Wish Pass here soon. So the combination of mons like Goodra, Deity, Bronzong with the Wish Pass we get is going to be a very solid defensive core and give us that balanced mode, because I also feel like we can go very hyper offensive with this team. And I will say, well, Goodra wasn't my favorite last season. There were matchups where, like, fat defensive Goodra was very passive and not my favorite Pokemon in the world. There are some matchups where you run Specs, you run Scarf, you can even run physical Goodra, and it goes crazy. It does really, really well. I think it's a very solid Pokemon. It also got Knockoff, Toxic, and Scald, which are great tools that did not have for us in the BBR last season. So it's what we had last season in BBR, but better. So I figure I'd give it another go. And it really fits the team well, in my opinion. Like, it really, really does. So another Pokemon that really appreciates hazards, and I love Dragon Tail Goodra sets and things like that. So great Pokemon overall. Then we have Abomasnow. It kind of helps with that water weakness that I was talking about before, because while I had Goodra now switch into it, I didn't have a lot of things that could switch into waters and immediately threaten the shit out of them, right? Thundurus doesn't really want to switch into them, and Bundle doesn't really want to, but Abomasnow does. It also gives me Veil for setup options in Okidogi, Thundurus, and especially Volcarona, and it gives me free Blizzards on Iron Bundle potentially, and that makes that Pokemon unguardable. It with Blizzard is going to absolutely nuke through so many things. It's a very low tier pick in Abomasnow, but I do think it fits the team really well, and it's a Pokemon I've used in the past and had a lot of success with. So despite it being, like, you know, lower in point value, definitely not the best Hail setter or Snow setter, I guess, now in the format, it's a really good one, and I'm really comfortable with using it, so I'm excited to use it this season. Then, alright, hear me out. I drafted Alola again. I still don't think it's good. I don't. It was a necessary evil. I was looking at the board, and I just waited too long on waters. I realized this around pick 8 when I picked Goodra, because I was looking for opposing waters to switch into waters. And I was like, wow, the only one that fits my team left is going to be Aloe. Not a big Aloe fan, but I knew I could wait on it, and I knew I could reliably get it, and it does fit this team well as it can. Plus, Aloe did get some very important tools. It got Flip Turn, it got Scald. I don't know if it got Knockoff back. I want to double check that because I feel like that's very, very important. But in combination with moves like Healing Wish and Mirror Coat and things like that, this Pokemon is, you know, going to be very obnoxious for a lot of teams to deal with. Let me see, Knockoff. It did not get Knockoff back, which does suck, but the main things are going to be Scald and Flip Turn. We can now gain momentum without being taunted like we would with Baton Pass. We can also run momentum sets on, like, Assault Vest variants, which is really cool. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember when I played John in regular season of BBR and he had Walking Wake. It really sucked not having Flip Turn because I was AV in that matchup to check the Wake. But I didn't want to stay in, ever. I always wanted to Flip Turn or get out, but I can't Baton Pass because I'm AV, and then the Annihilate would come in and kind of start doing me dirty. So now a little more, it might be boosting Annihilate, but at least I can get out of there and get into something that offensively pressures it. It fits the team really well, man. Things like DNC, Bronzong, Goodra, Abomasnow really love the wishes. Even Pokemon like Crocodile and Thundurus and Volcarona really appreciate wish support, so they can come in more throughout the game. And that healing wish support is also incredible with a lot of these sweepers in the squad. So it's tough. I still don't like the Pokemon, but it fits the team very well. I still don't think it's very good. I don't not like it because it's bad, but I don't like it because I don't think it's very good. But I think it fits this team very well, so yeah. Then lastly, we have Miss Magus, and this is a Pokemon I actually think fits phenomenally on this team. I was really happy with getting this as our last pick in the draft. It functions as a really good spin blocker. It also functions as a solid speed tier in 105. It's not one that we had, so it's not repeating. Now, it's not one that's necessarily needed between Vulk and Thundy, but it's still very nice. It's something that outspeeds base 100s outside of the Thundy and the bundle, which is always going to be very, very nice. Spin blocker, and a really strong, especially offensive ghost. It's also a normal immunity, which is always going to be very valuable. Right now, our only normal resist are Pokemon like Bronzong, Deity, but now I have an immunity that can switch into those Pokemon. Click buttons. It's a very solid Scarfer. It's very solid with the specs. It can Calm Mind and Nasty Plot. I think when it comes to low tier Pokemon, Miss Magus might be one of my favorite ones, to be completely honest. It can also Destiny Bond and Memento, set up the rest of our teammates in the back. It can Will-O-Wisp and Thunderwave. It really spreads a lot of stats and is a genuinely annoying Pokemon. Like, it's very genuinely good. It's a Pokemon that is immune to the dual stabs of something like a Great Tusk, so it's nice in that regard. We can go like a Colbur Berry variant and check it, pretty solid defensively. The Ghost typing with Levitate is always going to be very solid. So it's also a fighting check, which our team didn't have a lot of very reliable fighting checks up to this point, and it's still something that we do struggle with. If you look right now, our fighting resists are Okidogi, Thundurus, Volcarona, and Miss Magus. Not the bulkiest Pokemon in the world, and a lot of Pokemon that want to be used in a win condition sort of way. So having that immunity is at least going to make people think twice about clicking it, and maybe I can put that to my advantage in getting off strong knockoffs and things like that. But yeah, that's going to be our I almost said our week 1 team. That's next week. You'll see the battle. We're going up against El Scizor week 1, which will be a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever played Lars before, and he's someone I've watched for a long time, so I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'm definitely really excited to, get my shot at playing him. And yeah, I really like this draft. I think it came out really well. It's not the flashiest draft in the world, but I think it covers itself very, very well. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun using it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what your favorite member of the team is. This season's team nickname theme, it's not going to be One Piece. It's not going to be Overwatch. We're going to actually do channel members. So big shout out to all of our channel members. I do want to shout them out really quick. And I do want to shout them out in the name of their nickname. Hold on, I got to find it because I got it pinned because I'll forget if I don't. Right? Okay. That being said, big shouts to our channel members right now. Come on. Let's do it. We have Iron Bundle, which is Bick. Okidogi, which is Noah, or it's Pig Latin backwards. I'm not going to know how to say it, but he's there. Crocodile, which is Dawn Platinum, the Dawn. Thundy, which is Thriller. Deity, which is Endless. Bronzong, which is Zeke. Fat Halpert, which is Volcarona. Goodra, which is Noah, Alola, which is Lars, and Miss Magus, which is Liv. There's also other channel members, obviously, on the channel. People like Dell, people like Brody, odds are. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate you. You'll see all their names on screen throughout the whole season, and that'll be our nickname theme. Hopefully, our channel members can carry us to victory. But yeah, if you guys, again, did enjoy, drop a like, sub if you're new. See you in the next one. Later.